Jai Shri Ram. Oh, I thought this was Naama Geetha and we are talking about Sri Krishna's names in Bhagavad Gita. Is that right? And where did Jai Shri Ram come in? It's very interesting things that we are going to enjoy in this episode. When we say Jai Shri Ram, it's basically what we immediately relate to is that Jai Shri Ram lived exactly as an epitome of Pitru Vakya Paripalanam. Whatever Dasharatha said, Rama obeyed. As a child, Jasarada says, go with Vishwamitra, he goes. And as a man, when Jasarada banishes him to forest, he still goes. He doesn't ask any question. Whatever father says, he obeys without fail. That is what Pitru Artha Paripalanam. Now, that we have seen in Rama Avatar, but in Krishna Avatar, now coming to our hero of this Namagita series, Krishna is also an epitome of Pitru Vakya Paripalana. How? When Krishna incarnated for Vasudeva and Devaki, he just came in 4 arms in a size that saying that I am God kinds. Both Vasudeva and Devaki just pray to him and say, hey Parandhama, can you please come as a normal child? Instantly he obeyed to Vasudeva and became a normal child, Pitruvakya Paripalana, at the time of incarnation as immediately as it can. So when we are talking of Sri Krishna, born within quotes because it's an incarnation, it's not a normal birth, to Vasudeva and Devaki, he instantly obeyed a Pitruvakya Paripalana, and that we will remember and connect it later. And as Krishna is growing, what happens is, first of course, the other immediate thing before he starts growing, the same night he has to be taken to another place because he had the threat from Kamsa. So Vasudeva places Sri Krishna in a small basket, keeps him on top of his head and crosses the Yamuna to go to the other side of the bank and then keep Krishna safely. Now, when you are going this, the Yamuna, banks of Yamuna is just rising, the water in Yamuna is rising, and very strangely it is also pouring rains, and we know that how Seshanag gives protection to Sri Krishna from the rain, but he also sees as Vasudeva is walking with Krishna, the water is rising, and nobody is able to understand why it is happening. It is Yamuna Mata who wants the divine opportunity of touching Sri Krishna's feet. Now, Sri Krishna immediately chooses to save Vasudeva because the water rises fully to touch Krishna, who is on top of Vasudeva's head in the basket. That means Vasudeva is submerged. So the cute Krishna makes a small step of extending his legs in such a way that Yamuna is able to touch the legs and immediately recede. And after being blessed by touching the divine feet of Krishna, the Yamuna recedes and then gives path for Vasudeva to cross across. So that is how Sri Krishna blesses everybody and protects Vasudeva instantly upon birth. When we talk of Yamuna and when we talk of Krishna, Kamsa and all that, a very important character comes into the picture, Akrura. Krura means one is very cruel. Akrura is just the opposite. One is absolutely nice, very positive person, very soft person, and only one who thinks of kindness to everybody, Akrura. Akrura lived in the palace, in and around the palace of Kamsa, and Kamsa, after failing many attempts to eliminate Sri Krishna, sends Akrura to go and fetch Krishna. Now, why he is sending Akrura? Because everybody knows Akrura is a very nice man. So Kamsa thinks when he sends Akrura, Krishna will definitely come because there is a deceit, a nice man has come. Akrura willingly takes this opportunity, knowing fully well why Kamsa wants Krishna here, because he has been living under Kamsa with all the atrocities around him, and now Akrura gets an opportunity to see Krishna and Balarama together, and then he willingly takes a chariot and drives around. The entire journey from Kamsa's palace to where Krishna was, Akrura keeps thinking how he will meet Krishna, what he will do on meeting Krishna, and what Krishna will do to Akrura when he meets. The whole journey, the Akrura Bhava, as it is called, the way he thinks about what he will do on seeing the Lord, is very, very important message for all of us. When we go to a temple, say for example Tirupati Balaji or Srirangam or Ayodhya or Mathura, when we go there, we can't just go as just a place of worship or sometimes as a tourist spot. we have to cultivate the habit of what we will do, what we will do when we go there. We keep imagining how the Lord is, and what will I tell Lord, and what will actually communicate with Him when I go there, and what Sri Krishna will communicate with us. Keep thinking of this in the entire journey, because that bhava is very important, which will cultivate into bhakti. As we saw in few episodes earlier, Krishna is just looking for bhakti in us, and the bhakti will come more and more when we think of Him, think of what all kainkariya we can do for Him, and what all, and His greatness, thinking of Sri Krishna's greatness, which we are experiencing over many episodes through Naama Geetha. When we do this bhava is called the Akrura bhava. If you are able to go to any pilgrimage with that kind of bhava, that is why it's called pilgrimage. It's not a picnic, it's not travel, it's not going somewhere, it's not a vacation. It's a pilgrimage. In a pilgrimage, you go with the bhava of enjoying the Lord. So we saw Akrura as going with that bhava, and moment he entered the place, in the village where Krishna and Balarama was there, he got down from the chariot. He was so ecstatic that he started singing, dancing, rolling in the mud and the whole thing on the streets, because he's so excited that he's going to meet Sri Krishna. The moment Akrura sees Krishna and Balarama, the Akrura performs Dandavat Pranams. On moment seeing, we all use the term Dandavat Pranam. Basically, falling at the feet is normal, simple English translation. But the term Dandavat Pranams is a very important term. Whenever we say this, what happens? Dandam means a stick. A stick, if you keep it here and drop it, it will just fall. It will not think whether this is east or west or north or south. It will not see whether the floor is muddy or watery or it's got stones or anything. Just like that, when we see elders, acharyas, when we see the Lord, when we go to the temple, we just have to do Dandavat Pranams, where we fall like a danda, a stick, at the feet of Sri Krishna and offer our respects, offer our love and bhakti. And that is what Akrura did. So after few discussions and Atithi Bhava and all those things, and Krishna and Balarama are equally courteous to receive Akrura, ensure that Akrura has his food, they talk, and then Akrura quietly says, I've been asked to bring both of you to the palace by Kamsa. Krishna laughs and says, no problem, let's go. So on the way they are going, it's a long journey. So they go on the banks of Yamuna. So they stop, and Krishna and Balarama take bath in the Yamuna. When they take bath in the Yamuna, now what is Ganga? Ganga Mata is nothing but the water that touched the feet of Sriman Narayana when he took the avatar of Trivikrama. Just by touching the feet, Ganga Mata is becoming so pious, so pure and extremely divine. If touching the feet alone can give this, if Krishna is taking bath entirely in Yamuna, how much of divinity is there in Yamuna? How clean it has to, we have to maintain it. How respectful we have to be in maintaining Yamuna and worshipping Yamuna as a river. And that's what exactly happens now. Krishna and Balarama take bath. And after they have done with the bath, Akrura brings them to the chariot, and Akrura says, give me a few minutes, I'll perform Gayatri Japa and come back. So Akrura goes to the banks of Yamuna, takes a dip inside the Yamuna. When he goes inside, he sees Krishna and Balarama there. He comes up, he sees them both in the chariot. Again he goes in, Akrura dips inside, and he sees now Krishna in his majestic form seated in the 1,000-hooded Adisesha along with Lakshmi Ma, and all the rishis, saints, everybody are around them. It's a very divine scene that he is seeing. Baffled and awestruck, he again comes out of it, and he sees a smiling Krishna sitting in the chariot. As Akrura walks near the chariot, Krishna asks Akrura, hey Akrura, I thought there is some magic happening in the water. Is the magic happening only in the water or land? Where is it happening? Krishna is actually, with a very cute smile, is asking. Akrura looks at Sri Krishna and says, hey Krishna, you are land, water, sky, everything. And we all know that it's you who are all pervading and who's creating all this magic. They worship, he worships, and then they travel to Kamsa's palace. So now why did we discuss Vasudeva and why did we discuss Akrura in Naama Geetha? Because this relates to a name called Varshneya. Today's name in Naama Geetha that we are going to look at is Varshneya, a very unique name. not many knows. I don't remember personally, I don't think anybody is named as Varshneya. We have a lot of Krishnas, we have a lot of Govindas, we have a lot of Madhavas, but the name Varshneya is very unique, and this name was used by Arjuna twice, in first chapter 41st sloka and third chapter 36th sloka. First chapter we all know that Arjuna's Vishada Yoga is completely confused, where he is asking a lot of questions and he says, I don't want to fight the war. Now at that time he is intelligently using Varshneya. Now what is Varshneya means? Varshneya refers to the lineage in which Krishna is born. We all know Krishna is a Yaduvanshi, right? It's a Yadava, right? So Yaduvanshi. But the whole lineage goes up a very long lineage in which there was a king called Madhu who had governed for over 1,000 years with exemplary governance. Madhu's governance was supposed to have been, it's recorded in Srimad Bhagavatam, that it was one of the best regimes at those times, giving a perfect governance model and creation of lot of governance aspects like trade, commerce, security in terms of army, everything. That 19th lineage is called a king called Vrishni, so who followed the Madhu's lineage. That Vrishni Kula is what Krishna is born. When we say Krishna is born, he is not born like you and I. He chooses to be born, or incarnation. They use the word incarnation. He chooses this lineage to be incarnate. So Vrishni Kula, that's why Krishna is called Varshneya. So Yaduvanshi, Vrishni, everything means the same. Yadava is also the same, Vrishni Kula is also the same. So Krishna is called Varshneya. Now Krishna, Vasudeva and Kunti Devi are brothers and sisters. So that means Vasudeva's son Krishna, Kunti's son Arjuna are now related. So Arjuna is quietly saying, aren't we related to each other? So why don't you ensure that me as a relative, Arjuna as a relative, doesn't have to fight this war? So he's very intelligently bringing that. Quietly, he is also slipping another one here, where he says, you are born for 19 generations from the Madhu's lineage. Now it is coming continuously. Now if I fight this war, and if all those people die here, you then have Kulanasa. That means that lineage will stop for many of the people here, many of the warriors. So isn't that a sin? Because the others cannot perform Shraddha, Pitru Karma and those kind of things, and that cannot stop. So Arjuna is using Varshneya to remind Krishna in both of the aspects that both of us are relatives. So as a relative, protect me. Two, he says, because your lineage is just coming continuously, let other lineage also continue the same way. So don't allow me to fight this war, is what he's using. The sloka, the Bhagavad Gita sloka.
अधर्माभिभवात् कृष्ण प्रदुष्यन्ति कुलस्त्रियः स्त्रीषु दुष्टाषु वार्ष्णेय जायते वर्णसङ्करः सङ्करो नरकायैव कुलघ्नानां कुलस्य च पतन्ति पितरो ह्येषां लुप्तपिण्डोदकक्रियः.
Very important messages from this. Now, when we look at this whole, towards step back and say that Sri Krishna chooses to be born, like in the same Bhagavad Gita elsewhere, it will come saying, what is the difference between you and I? Do you know, Arjuna? Is what Krishna is asking. Both of us are born. That is, looks the similarity, but actually not, because you are born by karma, Arjuna, while I choose to be born. And I know all my previous births because I take it on my icha, my sankalpa. And I know what I will do in future. But Arjuna, you won't know, because you won't know your previous birth. You won't know what is going to happen to you in future birth, because everything happens by karma. So your birth is by karma, my incarnation is by my sankalpa. So in that knowledge, if Sri Krishna has chosen Varshneya as the lineage, imagine the importance he is giving to that lineage, where he chooses to be born to Vasudeva and Devaki, and then strengthens, or should we say highlights that the entire lineage of Madhu and Vrishni, to say that these, and he says in Mahabharata there is a sloka where Krishna says, I took this incarnation in this lineage to protect them, And that we saw how he protected Vasudeva immediately on being born when he crosses Yamuna. So this way, any protection we need, all we need to remember Sri Krishna as Sri Varshneya. Sri Varshneya Namaha. Let us recite Sri Krishna's names and be blessed. Namaste.
Madhava Achyuta Krishna Hare Rishikesha Kesava Govinda Vasudeva Bhagavan Janardana